Cruise news time. Well, did you catch it yesterday? The CDC said do not cruise unless you're fully up to date on their vaccines. And look, I was just checking. They've got that new program, that optional program for cruise lines to opt into. There's only one day to opt into it, and well, really nobody's opted into it. What does that mean? I'm also going to talk more about smoking and then the tragic situation on the Carnival Valor cruise news. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news update. It is Thursday. It is the 17th of February, and today we find ourselves in Cozumel, Mexico, still here on the Sky Princess, having a great time with the Loca fam. A lot of ships in Cozumel today. Of course, Cozumel, super popular port here in Mexico, and a few cruise news stories to update on. First, let's tackle the conversation about smoking. I talked to you guys a few days ago about smoking inside on Carnival allowing smoking in their casinos, and an interesting thing, you have to be playing, and you still have to wear a mask, and so you have to smoke in between wearing the mask. And in response to that story, many of you came out and said, well, what about NCL? What about RCL? They both have smoking coming back to their casinos. You barely mentioned it. Well, here's why I barely mentioned it. It's a whole different scenario. So on the Royal Caribbean cruise ships right now, they're going back to their masking policy that was pre-Omicron. That meant that there are vaccinated spots on board, and if you're fully vaccinated, you can go to those spots and not wear a mask. The casino is one of those, and so now people on Royal Caribbean will be able to smoke in the casino, but they won't be required to wear a mask. The same thing with NCL. Many of the NCL ships have their own smoking area in the casino, the smoking box, I like to call it, like a glass box that you see at the airport. You can smoke inside of there, but regardless of that, NCL also no mask in the casino, and so that's what makes those two scenarios different than the Carnival scenario, because in the Carnival scenario, there'll still be a mask requirement in the casino, but also now this allowance of smoking. So you're going to have smoking, masking, all that stuff going on. It's a little bit different, and so that's why I highlighted the Carnival story. So yeah, smoking coming back to a casino near you. Fortunately, there are many good options for non-smoking casinos, so I think that non-smokers will be able to find a casino to gamble in. May have to switch cruise lines, but yeah, the non-smoking options on casinos. Moving on, next cruise news story, and this one's quite sad and tragic. We'll stay with Carnival for this one. Word coming from the Carnival Valor yesterday that in the afternoon, a female passenger jumped off the cruise ship. The details are still a little sketchy. There's a lot of anecdotal stuff, people saying this, people saying that, but what does seem to be pretty consistent is that a 32-year-old woman was involved in some sort of altercation on the pool deck, deck 10. She was talked to by security, possibly detained. I've seen that she was possibly handcuffed, and during that interaction, she ran and jumped off the cruise ship. They marked the area where she went into the water. The cruise ship slowed down, turned around, and a search began, but as of this time, there has been no recovery of the woman who jumped off the cruise ship. So yeah, super sad story. It doesn't happen very often. Falling off a cruise ship is virtually impossible, but yeah, a story of a woman who jumped off a cruise ship yesterday. Super sad. Thoughts and prayers go out to their family. All right, let's transition into this conversation about the CDC and the future of cruising and the optional program and what it means to be fully up to date on your vaccine. But before we get there, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. And look, we got the big dream. We're trying to get to 18 million subscribers. It may take the rest of my life, but it would be expedited if you go ahead and subscribe today. The value proposition is this. You hit the subscribe button. Anytime that we have a new show come out, you will be notified, and that way you'll be one of the first people to get up to date on the cruise news or any of the cruising content. You can be part of the notification squad. Will you be the first commenter? Have you left a comment already? Look, helps us out, and it gives you a little heads up when news comes out. Thank you in advance. All right, couple big situations going on with the CDC. First, as I mentioned earlier, it is the 17th of February, and there's only one day left for cruise lines to opt into the new voluntary program for cruising. And so the CDC has built this optional program so that they can continue to regulate and to report on and track COVID cases on cruise ships, and by joining, the cruise lines are afforded some discretion when it comes to policies. Now, there is a set of policies inside of this optional program that the cruise lines will have to follow all of those policies inside of the optional program. They won't be able to pick and choose, but if they're inside the voluntary program, then they will not be subject to these broader transportation policies that are out right now that says that you have to have a mask and all that kind of stuff. And so they're really encouraging the cruise lines to join this optional program for tracking. And if we look at the dashboard right now, we still only have the 20 cruise ships that are in the program out of several hundred cruise ships. So as of right now, at least reporting on the CDC website, many cruise lines have not opted in. Now, interestingly, once they opt in, they will fall into 3 vaccination buckets. There is a bucket for cruise ships that are sailing at under 95% vaccinated crew members and passengers. There's a bucket for cruise ships that are sailing with passengers and crew members, a vaccination rate of 95% or higher. And then there is like a super duper vaccination bucket where they're sailing at vaccination rates of 95% and higher that are also boosted. This really brings in the conversation that the CDC wants you to be boosted before you go cruising. And they doubled down on that idea with the new travel warning. We talked about it yesterday about how the travel warning went from level 4 to level 3. Well, inside of that travel warning, they put the language that if you want to cruise right now, you should be fully up to date with your vaccination. And so at first listening, you may say, well, fully up to date, yeah, I got the 2 shots, I'm good to go. That's not what they mean. So when you see fully up to date with vaccination, at least in the CDC parlance, they mean that you've had the shots that are required, depending on what version of the vaccine that you have. Could be a 1-shot or a 2-shotter. And then also any boosters that you are eligible for. That is the language, any booster, parentheses S, boosters that you are eligible for, indicating that there could be multiple boosters that you will be eligible for. They're saying that these are the people that should cruise, and that if you are not boosted, that you should not cruise. Now, again, they were at a level 4, and many people cruise. They're also saying that people are unvaccinated should not cruise. They're also saying people that are at severe risk for COVID, and that's a whole list of people from smokers to diabetics to the obese to people that are largely inactive. That's on the list, fairly inactive. There's a huge list of people that are at risk. And so again, fortunately, it's not a mandate. People can make their own decision, but it's going to be interesting to see how these two things converge. Will being a part of that voluntary program, will that put more pressure on the cruise lines to require a booster? That could be a lever that the CDC pulls to get people to get boosted. You want to go on a cruise ship, you put a little pressure on the cruise lines to make sure that people are boosted, and then all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, they're getting people boosted that may not want to get boosted. So to that end, I am running a poll right now on the La Lido Loca YouTube page on the community tab. The way that you get there is like if you're watching this on YouTube, click our face. That should bring up the YouTube page for La Lido Loca. If you're signed in, I believe you have to be signed in. There'll be tabs across the top. One of them says community, and the poll is there. And I would love to get your feedback. Are you boosted? It's an anonymous poll. I don't really care personally about each individual's health, anything like that. I'm just trying to get a sense from the community. Are we a boosted community? Are we not going to be boosted? Where are we at? That kind of thing. So yeah, don't worry about it. I don't want to know one-on-one like your name and whether you're boosted or not. This is just a button that you can click, and I got no way of seeing who it is. But if you want to participate in that and have your voice heard, click a button there and let us know how you are or where you're at on the boosted thing. But it's an interesting time. So I'm really shocked that I haven't seen anything come out about these cruise lines that haven't opted in, whether or not they will opt in, and if they don't opt in, what's going to happen to them. So that should happen over the next couple days. More conversation, I think, about, and look, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world. I just read an article that says the insider sources in the White House, they're starting to use the language that we're moving out of the crisis, that COVID is no longer a crisis, that it'll be manageable. If we get to that language at the leadership level, then I think we're going to see a lot of things change, trickling down, that things will change in life, that places that are looking to be more restrictive will be less restrictive. And so it should be an interesting time. Obviously, we don't do the politics here. We try not to run stuff through the political filter, but it does seem like with this COVID, that's the way the thing's gone. And so hopefully, if it is that, as this language changes, that we will see a better situation from a restriction. And again, at the end of the day, we just want everybody to be safe, but it seems like it's been so muddled in the muck and mire what any of that thing means that I'm not going to go ranty here, but I think good days are ahead, but it's going to be interesting to see what this interplay between the CDC and the cruise lines are with this optional program. Boom! That's your cruise news. What do you think about any and all of it? Please leave a comment below. Yeah, thank you for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can show that you enjoyed it by hitting the like button. And if you did not enjoy it, then go pound sand. How about that? I did the best I could. Cut the dude a break. No, I'm just kidding. If you didn't enjoy it, that's fine. Just hit one of the buttons, like button or dislike button, just to let YouTube know what you're thinking. And unfortunately, if you don't hit the like button, I will be forced to dole out a punishment. And the punishment that I'm going to dole out is that you have to do 50 sprints up and down this Cozumel dock. And it's not short. No pedicab for you. 50 sprints up and down the dock. And if you're not in Cozumel, think about the challenge for that. You'd have to get to Cozumel. You have to do the sprints. The easiest, the path of least resistance, hitting the like button. This is Tony with Lido Loca. And until the next time, from the Sky Princess. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.